Good morning, everyone. How's it going? Today I'm going to be showing you how to use R and RStudio, and this is going to be a very introductory approach to R and its capabilities. Okay, we're mainly going to be going through some functions of R, some data types, and how to handle some basic data, just to get your feet wet and like to get you started into what it means to do data analysis with R. If we have time, maybe by the end we will be doing some data analysis with an actual dataset. But just think of this like kind of a crash course of all the functions and all the capabilities, basic capabilities that you can have within this programming language. Okay, so there you go. Let's get right into it. Alright, so to start, let's see what we got here. So R is a programming language. It works with, on paper, I think it is an object-oriented programming language, but don't really say that in public, because the objects in R are pretty strange. I would probably consider it more of a functional programming language, but there you go. So let's get right into it. There are several data types in R. There are vectors, there are what else? There are Dataframes, there are matrices, etc. But I'm just going to show you first of all the vectors, how they work. So as you probably know, R is made for data analysis, and the most basic data unit that you have is the vector, which is just a set of individual pieces of data of the same type. Okay, so let's see how that looks like. To create a variable, wait, let me just zoom right here. There you go. Do you see everything? I suppose. There we go. Alright, so first of all I'm going to show you what this is. This is RStudio. There is a web version for it. You can use whichever you want. I use the desktop version, but yeah, don't hesitate to use the other one. Right here you have the console. This is the R console. You can run pretty much any R line that you want in here, or you can have a script which is up here. Right here you have the environment, which is where you will see all your data, the data sets that you have imported, the variables, etc. You will see them listed right here. And right here you have the plots. This is where you will see the plots that you have outputted or you also have a viewer, which is pretty useful if you're using a if you're running an application, Shiny app, you can actually visualize it right here. Okay, so it's kind of a very complete IDE for R. Even though I really like Code Studio and other IDEs, for R, I don't think there's a better thing than RStudio. So let's get right into it. To create a variable, pretty much like in other languages, you can use the equal sign, but in R, actually the most correct way to do this is by using the arrow sign. And you can think of it just by telling to yourself that whatever is on the right is being assigned to the variable name that's on the left. Okay, that's a good way to see it. And here, let's see, we can create a vector with the function C, which is short for create. And right here you have, we have a vector 10, 20, 30. All right, that's a vector of 3 elements. And to run right here, we're inside the script file, but you can also run it in the console. Okay, But to run the script file, what you can do is just select it all. And if you're in a Mac, you would do Command Enter. And if you're in a Windows machine, you would do Control Enter. But let's see. Right here, now I run it. Right here, you see that I have my vector that's in my environment. And you can see that it has 3 elements, 10, 20, and 30. Now, something interesting about this is that vectors can only hold one data type. So I cannot add right here hello, which is a string, because that would, I mean, it will run, but do you see right here that this right here is a vector, which is a vector of numbers, which means that the elements inside it are numbers. And since vectors can only take one data type, if I add a string, all of this will be coerced into strings. Okay, so let's see how that works. I'll just enter right here. And now you can see hello has been added, but 10, 20, and 30 are not numbers anymore. They're strings. Okay, so that's how this one right here works. So that's vectors. There you go. Secondly, let's talk about lists. Lists are pretty much like vectors. The only difference is that you can include several data types inside them. And to create them, you use the function list like this. There you go. And right here, you can actually add several data types. You can add, I mean, this one right here will be a number, then we have another number, then we have a list inside it. Yeah, of course, we can add a list inside a list, and then let's add another vector right here, 2, 3, 4. There you go. And let's see how that one works. There you go. So now you have a list of 5 elements, and if we output it right here, I'm going to run it in the console. You can see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 elements in my list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, what? Oh yeah, sure. No, sorry. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements in my list, and inside the 4th element you have another list, which is this one right here. Okay, there you go. What else can we do here? All right, let me show you the data types that we have right here. Okay, so as for data types, you can have different kind of values for a variable. Okay, let's see, for example, the logical one. Okay, logical. Logical can be either true or false. True is written like this, and false is written like this. And to check the type of a variable, you can just surround it with the function class like that. There you go. And then if we run this one right here, you can see that the class of this one is logical. All right. If we say the same about false, that would be logical as well. There you go. All right, so that's for class. What else do we got here? 1 second. There we go. All right, there we go. So that's for class. That's the class of logical. Then you also have the class of 1 second. Yeah. Then you also have the class of integer. As you can see here, we were using numbers, and right here we're using numbers as well. But integers are not necessarily just numbers without. I mean, in other languages, something like this would be a float, and something like this would be an integer. Okay, but in R, in order for it to be an integer, yeah, sorry, you have to add the suffix L to it. Okay, so let's say that if we do class like this of 10, we will get the data type numeric. Okay, if we want the numeric data type to be an integer, what we would have to do is add an L to it like this. There you go. So now that one's an integer. What else do we have? We have, I mean, floats are numeric, just like that. I mean, if I run 10.5 and I ask for it, and ask for the type, it'll give me numeric. It won't give me float because floats are numeric, just like that. Okay, there it is, numeric. What else do we got here? All right, unless you're a mathematician, you might not use this, but you also have complex numbers, which are like I mean, just like in mathematics, you just add an I suffix to it, right? So if I add, let's say, 2 plus 3i, this one right here is going to evaluate to complex, right? There you go, complex. So that's it for data types. I mean, I can show you as well what I was showing you just a moment ago, that for the list right here, this one is a list, of course, and then the other one is a vector. Yeah, I mean, it's a class vector and it's a character vector, because as we saw right here, it's a vector of characters. Okay, yeah, so there you go. Those are the data types. Now let's see, the most important thing about this is the data frames. All right, I'm going to create a data frame pretty quick right here. Data frame, a good way to define it is probably just to tell yourself that it's a collection of vectors, okay? Vectors that are aligned like that. So for example, I'm just going to create a data frame off of several vectors like this. Alright, so here we have let me zoom in a little bit more. Here we have the patient ID, the age, diabetes, status, patient data. Alright, there you go. What are we doing right here? So we're creating 4 vectors, patient ID, so we're creating 4 IDs for it. We are creating also 4 variables for age, diabetes also, type 1, type 2, etc. This one's a character vector, this one's another character vector with the header status. And then please note that all of this have the same length. You cannot create a data frame if all the vectors that are creating it are not the same length. Okay, so that is pretty important. So you have your patient data, and right here is this one right here is the one that's going to be the data frame. To create a data frame as well, you just initialize it with, just as you did with a list and a vector. You initialize it with this function right here, data.frame, and then you pass in all the vectors that you want inside your data frame. So I'm just going to run this right here. Now you see I have my four vectors, and also I have my data set right here, and it's a data frame indeed. If you want to see it, a good thing that you can do to see data frames is to run view, and then you run then you add the name of your data frame, patient data. Something important to note, I mean, I don't love it, but do note that view, the keyword, I mean, for the function of to visualize a data frame or a data set, you have to start it with a cap. All right, so there you go. And then let's view it, and there you have it. That's a data frame. A data frame, you can think of it just like a table, but like tables in R are something else. So I mean, it really just is like a table of information that you can manipulate. Okay, so there we have it. Now let's get back to our script and let's do some stuff with that one. Something that you would usually do with the data frame once you import it is to check the types of the columns that you have, and to do that you can use the function str. Okay, so str and let's just run patient data inside here, and let's see what that one gives us. Alright, so we have that our function has 4 columns: patient ID, age, diabetes, and status. And it also gives us the type of functions for each, the type of data for each of the columns, which patient ID is numeric, age is numeric, diabetes is character, and status is character. Okay. Alright, that's interesting. What else do we have right here? I'm going to show you as well how you can download your own data. I mean, like right here we just created our data with some handwritten vectors, but usually you would like get the data in a CSV file or from an API, etc. So I'm going to show you how to open this from a CSV file. Alright, so there are 2 ways to do this. One of them, the easiest one, is to just, I mean, first of all, you have to have your data set. For this example, I'm just going to be using the ever popular Titanic dataset, and to download it you can just come to Kaggle Titanic/data and just download the test one right here. It's a very simple one. It has like just 11 columns, and I don't know how many observations it has, like several, I mean enough to make an actual enough to make a good analysis, a good exercise. So let's just click right here on download. There you have it. And something that you can do to import it is that you can click right here, import dataset. You click right here, and then you choose it. Like I'm gonna choose it right here from here. There you go. Then you give it a name. I'm just gonna call it Titanic. And I mean, you have several options right here that you can toggle, but usually it's pretty much the same. The most important one is the separator, which I don't see. Yeah, there you have it. Sometimes CSV files are separated by semicolons instead of commas, but this one is apparently separated by commas, so I'll just keep it like this, right? I mean, you can see an overview of how your data frame will look like, because what you're doing is just converting your CSV into a data frame. Then we click import, and there you have it. You have the Titanic dataset with all your data in it. There you go. So now let's do some stuff with this one. There we go. Now let's do some stuff with this one. Another important function that you will find is one that is to check when. Wait, I forgot to mention the other way to import the data. As you can see right here, if you come to history, we can see the function that was actually run by RStudio when we clicked on import dataset. And you can see that it's this one right here, read.csv. And this is pretty much the function that you're going to be using if you're working in a local project and you have your dataset CSV file inside the same directory. You can just do something like Titanic read.csv, and then you just write the location to it. Remember that / means current location, and then you just, I don't know, you can put it inside a data directory and just Titanic test.csv, or whichever is the name of your file. That's how you import it, right? I just imported it with the button right here, but this is the most real way to import it, because it uses like relative paths. Alright, so let's continue with this. So we have the str patient data to check the vectors. Let's do the same thing with the Titanic. Str Titanic. There you go. There you have it. So we have the passenger ID, which is an integer. We have the passenger class, which is an integer as well. We have their names, which are characters, sex, character, age, number. Looks pretty complete. Looks pretty good. Something interesting that you can do is to see if you have any NaNs, and to do that you can, for example, let's see if we have NaN. To see if you have NaNs, you can use the function is.na, and then just run your dataset, right? Titanic, for example, and then we can even pass in a single column. So let's say that we want to see if we have any NaNs in passenger class, for example. So we have false, 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 false. All right, so this is probably not going to give you a lot of information. So what you can do, there are several things that you can do right here. What I like to do is to wrap it in a table like this. This is just going to give you like a table of all the false entries that you have. So let's see. So we only have false, so there is no NaNs in that column. Let's see if we run it like this. Oh, in the entire dataset, apparently we do have 87 true NaNs. Alright, so we need to find them and see what we're doing. I mean, we're not going to be doing data cleaning in this video, but yeah, that's the way to see if you have any NAs or NaMs. What else do we got right here? I mean, for a same column, you can also use like functions like max, min, things like that, right? So for Titanic, for example, we're working with, let's say we're working with the H right here. So instead of table and instead of NA, what we're going to ask is for the maximum. So we're going to see the maximum age of the people of the passengers in the Titanic. So again, I'm just going to do Command Enter for this one right here, and apparently we have an NA. Apparently NA is one of the columns where we have NaNs. So to check this right here, we can just wrap it in na.omit, and let's see right here. Error, unexpected symbol, na.omit. All right, I forgot one of this. There you go. All right, so it's apparently the oldest passenger was 76 years old. So there you go. NA omit, to omit NAs, max and or min or whatever. Like, let's see who's the youngest one. Well, newborn apparently. And you can run this by column, or you can run it on the entire data set. That's pretty convenient, pretty useful. Now, all right, so that's all for basic ED, like exploring your data set. I'll just write it right here, exploring your data set. There you go. And now we're going to check subsetting, how it works. What is subsetting? So subsetting basically means just like taking some parts of a certain data object that you have, okay, but not all of it, in order to get just particular information from that part. So let's say that you have a vector right here, vector 1, and I'm going to create a vector that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now we have our vector vector 1 right here. You can see that it's numeric 1, 2, 3, 4, and what we're going to do is we're going to select some parts of it. Okay, all right, so to select some parts of something, be it a vector or a data set, I'm just going to be focusing on vectors for now. You run it with square braces, okay? And inside the square braces, you just have to tell the positions that you want to be returned, okay? And the positions you select them with a vector as well. So I have to create another vector right here and say which positions I want to keep, okay? So I can say that I just want the first and second position, in the vector number 1. So that's going to return the first 2 positions of the vector. Oh yeah, something important right here that I don't know if I forgot to mention it before. It's pretty bizarre and strange, and I don't like it that much because I'm a software developer. But R does not count from 0. R counts from 1. So this one right here would be position number 1, 2, 3, 4. Whereas usually in any other programming language, this would be position 0, 1, 2, and 3. So yeah, keep that in mind if you're working with R. So you have vector 1, and we're going to find the position, we're going to subset the first 2 elements of the vector 1. And right here, let's run this one, and it's going to return 1 and 2. But why does it return 1 and 2? Is it because I typed 1 and 2 right here? No, it's because 1 and 2 are in the first and second position right here. If I change this to 5 and 4, or 5 and 6, let's say, and I run this one right here, this one is going to return 5 and 6 because those are the elements in the first and second position. It has nothing to do with the actual numbers, okay? It's the position that matters. So 5 and 6. So yeah, we have the vector number 1, and we have the first 2 positions. Now there's another way to get all of this. Remember that we're subsetting with square braces, so we can also use vector number 1, and then we run the square braces right here, and instead of passing the positions, we can say exactly we can pass in a vector that's the same length as the original vector, and we say just true, true, false, false. I mean, like with logical operators, right? So if I pass in, like right here, a vector, remember it's another, and once again a vector, I pass true, true, false, true. This one right here is going to return true for the first, so it's going to return the first element, true for the second, so it's going to return the second element, false for the third is going to, so this one's not going to be returned, and true for the fourth one. So the outcome will be 5, 6, and 4. Let's see how that works. There you go, 5, 6, and 4. This is very important because this is like the basics for subsetting in actual data frames, okay? So once you understand how this works, you will be able to subset in actual data frames, because data frames, after all, are only vectors aligned one after the other, okay? So that's why this one right here is important. You can also run comparison operator. So you can say, oops, vector 1, and let's say that any element that's below 4.5, that's lower than 4.5. So what do you think this one's going to return? This one's actually going to return another vector with false, true, true. And that, my friends, if you see, it's very, very interesting, because now you have a vector with logical operators that's exactly the same length as the original vector, which means that you can pass it in right here, right? So let's now actually get the elements that are lower than 4.5, okay? So this right here, we can put it inside. Oh, what? So what's going on? All right, so this right here, we can, I mean, right here, you would usually take one of this, a vector with the same length with logical operators, but instead of that, we're going to pass in right like this, because this one right here returns a vector that's the same length as vector 1, but with logical operators. So now we will return all the elements in vector 1 that are lower than 4.5. So let's see how that works. So we have 3 and 4, which are lower than 4.5. So that's a quick tip that you have in order to filter all the elements that are below 4.5 inside vector 1. So I'm going to put this right here, subsetting. There you go. So that's for R. That's for subsetting vectors in R. What else can I show you? Oh yeah, how to select columns. That's pretty important as well. So, but that's not about vectors anymore. All right, one more thing. Let's suppose you have a vector 2 and it's defined as first element 1. Well, let's say, yeah, first equals 1, second equals 2, and etc. equals 3. Okay, these are the keys, these are the values. If you have worked with Python before, I guess you can see it as a dictionary, except that of course you cannot have different types of data inside it. So I will just create this vector number 2, and now to subset it, or just to select a particular element inside it, you can just call the key that you want. So you have vector number 2, and you just run etc. for example, and this one right here should return number 3. So let's see how that one works. Something went wrong. I think that this one has to be a string. There you go. Yeah, sorry. So this one has to be a string. So vector number 2, etc. etc. has the value. The key of etc. has the value of 3. So there we go. There we go. I'm just gonna show you pretty quick as well how to subset for lists, and then we'll get into matrices and Dataframes, which is the juice of this. So what was the list that we had created? It's called lists right here. Okay, so let's see what our list looks like. So we have our 5 elements, and the 4th element has an inner list inside it. So what I'm going to show you, subsetting vectors right here. I'm just going to create this comment right here, and right here subsetting lists. All right, so we have our list, which is list, and we're going to call the first element, right? So let's see. What do we get? We get this, but what is this? Let's see what is this. Class of this one, which is a list. Okay, so if we use only one bracket, it will return a list. Even if the first element is not a list, the first element, as you can see right here, is just a number. But if we use just one bracket, a single brackets, this one's going to return a list with that element. If we want the actual element, we can add double brackets, and this one right here will return only the element. Let's see what this one looks like. Class of this. So this one right here is numeric. Okay, so now there you go. So that's subsetting lists. So yeah, remember, double brackets for the actual element and single brackets for a list with that element. Okay, let's see how that works with element number 4, which was a list itself, right? Because element number 4 right here is a list of 1, 2, 3. Let's see how that looks like. List, let's see, number 4. List. There you go. So we have this right here. What is this? Class of this one. So apparently it's a list, of course, because list with single brackets returns a list. But what is it if I use double brackets like I did just a moment ago? Well, it's still a list because the element inside it is a list. So yeah, I mean, if we used only one bracket, this one's going to return a list with one list inside it. If you want to go even deeper, right here, what you would probably have to do is to select the first element, for example, and right here, Now this one should return the first element of the list that's in the 4th position. Let's see how that works. Yeah, so the first element is 1, and it actually returns a list with that element. I hope this is not getting too strange. If I add another square brackets right here, this one returns just the element, okay? So this right here returns the list of number 4, at position number 4, and inside that list we already have another list. So we're dealing with the same kind of rules that we were dealing with it before. Another way of thinking about it is inner list, and we give this one to list position number 4, and then inside inner list you can also be asking for the first position, which returns a list, or double brackets, which returns the first element in that list, okay? And this right here is pretty much just the same as doing this right here. All right, so I hope that was clear for lists. Now I'm going to show you how to do the same thing with matrices, okay? So to declare a matrix, matrix, you can do it like this. I'm going to call it A. Matrix. You create with the function matrix, and then you just say the elements right here. I'm just going to say 1 to 9, and I'm going to say that the number of rows is 3. And let's see how that looks like. So now we have our A, which is a matrix, and let's see what it looks like. So we have our matrix right here. And just like as in a data frame, and as I'm going to show you how it works in a data frame, you can use square brackets to select information inside it. Now the element on the left means the row, and the element on the right of the comma means the column. Okay, so if I want the first element of if I want the first column and the element on the first column and the third row, that would be 1,7. This one's probably going to return 7. Let's see how it works. Yeah, there you go. So that's 7. If you want the second row, third column, that's going to return 8 probably. There you go, 8. So that's how it works. Okay. Now you can also select multiple columns. You can do something like A. So that's why it's called subsetting, right? You just take a subset of the bigger set. So let's say we want to select this small square right here, 5, 8, 6, 9. So what we would do right here is we would select the second row all the way to the third row, and then for the columns we would select the second row all the way to the third one as well. And this one right here is going to return the smaller one like that. Okay. Now this is very important because it kind of echoes what you are going to be doing with data sets. Something also pretty interesting is that you can pass the actual numbers that you want of the columns or the rows as well. Like right here I selected a range, but this right here is actually this right here, it translates to a vector with elements 2 to 3, which is 2 and 3. But I could also do something like this, 2 to 3 and a vector 2 and 3, right? And it returns the same thing. And interesting thing about this is that I can just choose another one. This one returns the first one and the third one. So right here we have this 2, 3 and 8, 9, 2, 3 and 8, 9. Okay, so that's subsetting for matrices. Now let's get into data frames, which is kind of the juice of R, and because that's pretty much what you will be working with if you're using R for data analysis. So Data frames. What is a data frame? A data frame, as I mentioned before, is a list of vectors. Data frames. A data frame is a list of vectors which are the same length, all of them. And to select an element inside it, you also use square brackets, just as you did before, okay? So just a moment ago, we had imported Titanic data. Let's view that one. Let's just print it actually. Print Titanic. This one's going to, well, that was probably a bit too big, but here you have the entire data set for the Titanic, okay? And right now, what we're going to be doing is, that's the data set for the Titanic. We're going to select some columns, okay? Let's see how that looks. So right now, inside here we have our Titanic dataset, and we have several columns right here. Let's say that we want to select the name column. There are several ways of doing this. You can use Titanic. What you would usually see is you add the $, and then you have to select the name of the column, okay? So we said that we were going to select the name column, which is right there. Just type name, there you have it. Now it returns all the names of all the passengers in a list, okay? Let's say if it's a list or a vector. It's actually a vector, right? Yeah, it's a vector. Because a column is just a vector, as I was telling you before. So there you go. So that's for to select a column, but you can also do it like this. I think you can do it like this. Yeah, it works as well with square brackets, and you can also, I don't remember if you can use name. No, I don't think this works. No, this one doesn't work. Just square brackets and the $, that would do. But something interesting as well is that you can, just as with matrices, you can say which element you want. So let's say we want the third element and the name of that one, which is in the third position as well. So it works pretty much just like a matrix, in which if you say Titanic 3,3, this one's going to return the name in that position. 3,3, 3,3. There you go. And just as with matrices, you can select more than that, or you can select a subset, right? So let's say that you want all the names for rows 3 to 9. So this right here is going to return all the names for all the rows 3 to 9, because remember, the element on the left of the comma is the rows and the element on the right is the columns, right? So this one right here is going to check 3 to 9, and then the third column, which is name, and now it's going to return all the names from here. So that's how it works. What else do we have? Right now we're only selecting one column, but you can also select more than one. Let's say that you want 3 to, you want not only the name, but you want also the sex. So let's just say 3 to 4. So this one right here will actually return a data frame with all of this, with both of them. And you can say you can just create another variable for this one, subset, and now you can view that subset. And let's see what it looks like. So it's actually a data frame right here, and you have the names and the sex right here. And you can also as with matrices before, you don't really have to select a range. This one right here just converts and translates to 3 and 4. But let's say that you don't want 3 and 4. Let's say that you want 3 and 5. Instead of sex, you want age. So you just write right here 3 and 5. And this one right here is going to return the age instead of the sex, alright? So yeah, that's how this one right here works. That's how you subset in Dataframes. What else can I show you? Yeah, alright, I'm gonna show you how to select pretty much every single element of a data frame. Yeah, like this, alright. So right here we were selecting 3 to 9 and then column number 3. But what happens if you want all the columns? Well, what you want to do is you want to leave the right side just empty. And this right here is going to select all the columns, right? So let's see, all columns. If you run this one and then you view it, remember view is with uppercase, all columns. Now let's see how that looks like. So now you have all columns, 4 rows, 3 to 9. That's how you subset data frames. What else can we do? I mean, you can do the same thing, but on the other side, you can select all the rows. I'm just going to show you all rows, Titanic, and then just select all the rows. So you just leave the left side empty. And you just select, let's say, 2 of these. Let's say that we want the name and the class, right? For all of the columns, all of the rows. I mean, all of the observations. So let's say that we want this, and we want so it's position 2 and 3. So let's say 2 and 3. There you go, and let's view all rows. And there you have it. You have all the rows for just columns, B class, and name. There you go. So that's for data frames. We're getting pretty far in. I'm probably gonna end the video soon. And let's just finish this with functions. And all right, let's see functions. All right, how do you create functions? To create functions, you would use the way to create them. You just type the name of the variable first. Let's say product, and then you go equal function. Then you type in your arguments inside here. Let's say AB, and then you open curly braces, and then you perform whatever you want to do with the arguments, and then you return them. To return them, let's say that right here we're going to return. Oh, by the way, to return you need to wrap it in parentheses. So let's return A times B. So this one right here creates the product function. And now if you want to use it, you can just go product 3 and 6. Oh, have to run product as well. There you go. So 3 times 6 equals 18. So yeah, that's how it works. For functions, what else can I show you? Oh yeah, sometimes you might be needing to use anonymous functions. Like for example, you have an lapply function that runs through all of the elements inside your columns, inside your all of the rows, all of your observations. So what you can do is that you can call Titanic and then you say which H. Oh, H. Does it work? Yeah, H. And then right here, lapply, what it does is that it runs through all of your observations and then applies a function to them and saves the result of that function in place. I mean, if you have worked with other programming languages, it's pretty much like mapping. Okay. So age right here, and let's say that we want to multiply age by 2. Okay. I mean, you can take a product you can create a function that takes one argument and returns that argument times 2, or you can use an anonymous function. Okay, I'm going to write this one here, anonymous function. So you have Titanic H, and what function are we going to apply? Let's say to add an anonymous function, you just type in function, then you just type in the name of your argument that you're going to use. I'm just going to type in x. I'm going to say x times 2. This is the thing that's going to be returned, and this is the argument. And this right here, if we run it, it's going to multiply the age of every single one of our Titanic passengers times 2. So let's see how that one works. So here we have it. James Kelly is 34.5 years old. Now if we run this one right here, let's see what happened. It didn't work for some reason. Oh right, yeah, I think it doesn't work in place. Titanic H. Let's see if that one right here works. Yeah, so now if I come right here, yeah, so it multiplied it by 2. So yeah, this one doesn't work in place. You have to actually, this one returns the list, I mean the vector that with the results, but you have to actually apply it to your column, right? So this right here won't do anything by itself. It will just return the results, and then you have to apply the results to your column. But yeah, so right here we went through anonymous functions and lapply, which is pretty important if you want to update all of your elements of all of your observations in a certain column for R. Very, very useful. There you go. What else do we have? Alright, let's go a bit through loops. So let's say that we have names, and let's say that we have a vector called Mary, Joseph, and Jesus. Why not? So you can loop through this vector with the function for. Okay, and this one takes in parentheses, and you take name in names. This one right here is the name that you're going to be using inside the loop, and this one right here is the actual set of, I mean, it can be a vector. I think you can iterate through lists as well, but I'm not sure. Let's test that in a minute. So this right here, and then we're going to print name. Let's see how that one works. Didn't work for some reason. Check. Maybe. Well, it's not working right here. Oh yeah, sure. I need parentheses right here. There you go. There you go. So now we have Mary, Joseph, and Jesus, which are printed right here because name is the one that we use right here. We're just looping through the names. I mean, it's not an array, but I mean, you can think of it that way, except for the fact that all of it has to be the same data type. And then name, you use it right here, and you can do whatever you do inside of here with your variable. You also have a while loop, like this. You go count, while count is less than 5, and we will just start with a count value of 0. So while count is less than 5, we're going to count equal count plus 1, and let's just print count. There you go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's while how it works. Be careful not to get into an infinite loop, because you will break your computer and the universe will explode. We don't want that to happen. So yeah, just be careful with that. If at some point you do get into an infinite loop, right here you will have a red button called stop, and you just have to press it to save the universe. Good. What else do we have right here? I think that's pretty much it for yeah. Yeah, I'm going to be I'm doing a continuation of this one, where we will actually be working with a big data set like Titanic or Iris, and I will show you how to do some basic data analysis with it, like very, very basic operations over Dataframe. But yeah, it's going to be it's the next video in this playlist, so be sure to watch it. And yeah, see you around. Well, all right. So I think that was pretty much all of it for R. I hope it was useful. I hope it was interesting. And right now you should have all that's needed to actually start delving into data analysis with Dataframes. That's what the next video is going to be about. And what else? Yeah, I mean, sometimes this kind of things, this kind of knowledge, this kind of basic knowledge about a language is what ends up taking you the most time, because you just jump in to do like very complicated things, like, I don't know, like you just want to jump in to do graphics and stuff like that, and plots. But you will very soon be faced with the fact that you don't know how to subset a data frame, so you won't be able to actually do the plots that you want, and you will spend like hours and hours scrolling through Stack Overflow and searching on Google to find the actual way to subplot your data frame. So now, hopefully, with this knowledge that you have right here, you will be able to save all of that time and focus on what you want to do, which is data analysis and plotting, all right, and using ggplot. Yeah, so in the next video we'll see ggplot. Thank you so much for your attention, and see you next time, all right?